Welcome. In this video, we will discuss about the 5G technology. So we are in an era where the 5G technology is something which is very much needed for the reality we are looking ahead. So we are talking about the artificial intelligence being a part of our life, Internet of Things, where the physical environment is deeply integrated into the internet, and then we are talking about the virtual reality, augmented reality. All these concepts are only possible if we have the flexibility of speed which has been provided under the 5G technology. So in that regard, India also is no like any country which is not looking forwards to ahead and adopt the 5G technology. So Indian telecom companies like your Jio, Airtel, Vodafone and Idea, all these companies are already have started their venture for the 5G technology, and in that regard we have to discuss what is exactly is 5G technology and how the progress of through various generation had been. So let's start. So fifth generation or 5G is the latest upgrade in the long-term evaluation mobile broadband network. So this is what how you will define your 5G. It is the latest upgrade. So this is the latest technology which is available in terms of the long-term evaluation in the mobile broadband networks, like how which spectrum you could utilize to access the internet using the telecom. So this is for communication. 5G mainly works in three bands, which are like your low, mid, and high frequency spectrum, all of which have their own uses as well as limitations. So there are like three bands which are available in terms of how the 5G technology works. For an example, let's take a case of low frequency. So it has a high coverage, like you can really provide the coverage to a greater area, but there is a major issue that the speed is actually kept at 100 Mbps, which you will not find it very feasible if you are looking for the virtual reality. So 100 Mbps is not a speed through which you can get the virtual reality. So this has its limitation in terms of speed. Then come the mid-level frequency or the medium frequency spectrum. Over here the speed is higher than the lower frequency, like it is not capped at 100 Mbps, but the coverage become limited. So the industrial uses is the one which could be utilized using the medium ranges. So they can modulate the range within the campus itself, for an example, and then could get the benefit of high speed. But then there is also high frequency spectrum. So over here the maximum speed could reach up to 20 Gbps, while in your 4G the maximum speed that has ever reached is only 1 Gbps. So you can understand the kind of speed we are talking about. But then again, it is extremely limited in its coverage. So it's like the range of the speed is very limited. So this is mostly would be utilized for very personalized experience and could not be used for the public good. So this is how your various spectrums are provided under the 5G technology. So as far as India goes, there are bids for auction of the spectrum for the 5G, and but still India does not have any uniform or standardized policy, and that is something again the telecoms like your Jio, Airtel, they have been asking the government to come up with some kind of uniform guidelines so that they can go ahead and launch the 5G technology for the consumer use as well. So this is the little bit of background. Now let's just go ahead and try to understand how the evolution happens. So from the first generation to 5 generation, how the journey has been. So 5G was launched way back in 1980s and worked on analog radio signals and supported only voice call. So 1G was something which was only about the voice call. Then come the 2G in the 1990s, which uses digital radio signal and supported both voice and data transmission with a bandwidth of 64 kbps. So though it was very slow, but the data transfer started way back in the 2G itself. Then in 2000 the 3G came into picture with a speed of 1 Mbps to 2 Mbps. So speed actually increased over here, and it has the ability to transmit telephone signal including digitized voice, video calls and conferencing. So So 3G actually supported the conferencing feature, and when the 3G was introduced, the lot of video call also started to happen. And finally, the one which we are using right now was launched in 2009 with a peak speed of 100 Mbps or 1 Gbps, and it also enables 3D virtual reality. So virtual reality is what you can say available in the 4G itself, but it is not a very pleasant experience, and you would need the bandwidth of 5G to actually have a seamless experience. So this is how the evolution has been. Now let's just quickly try to understand all of this in a graphical way, so you can understand, like if you look at the symbol over here, you understand when 1G was actually a cycle. In terms of speed, if you see, it was actually a cycle. It was an analog system, only basic voice services, you can only call the person, limited coverage. So over here the speed was only 0.22 0.002 Mbps only. And latency is something which could not be measured, because we are not talking about the real time over here yet, and the data rate was less than even 10 kbps. So this was how your 1G was. Then come the 2G. It's more of like from the cycle, it's an upgradation towards a scooter. So over here the average speed increased to 0.64 Mbps. It is the digital version of 1G. So from analog we are moving towards the digital. Again over here voice and text was allowed. It improved the coverage itself. Latency also started to being measured, because we are talking about now over here there is a real time exchange. So latency, even though it is pretty much lagged, but still there is a real time measurement, so we can check that. And the maximum data rate which could have been reached over here is 64 kbps. Then come your 3G, which is like your car. So it moves, it can attain higher speed as compared to the scooter. Over here the speed could go up to 2 to 10 Mbps. It again started with the mobile broadband. Now you can have the internet on your phone, voice, data and internet on phones and tablet, use of phones and tablet as an alternative to computer. So this is what is all started with the 3G. Latency again over here is quite a lot, which is 212 ms, but still it is way better than the latency which was provided in the 2G. Maximum data rate is the 2 Mbps. Now from kbps we have been moving towards the Mbps speed. And then the 4G, which is like your aeroplane, which we are still having in the 2010s. It was launched. Average speed is now 10 to 100 Mbps. High speed access to internet. So you must have seen that earlier when you go to YouTube, the videos used to get into buffer mode, right? Today's world, we don't know what buffer is actually, and that is all because of the high speed internet which is provided under the 4G spectrum. So the true mobile broadband with devices to create hotspots. So hotspot is something which became very popular. Streaming and online gaming. Latency now has decreased to only 60 to 98 ms. And then the data transfer could happen at a rate of 450 Mbps. So you can understand the kind of leap and bounds the 4G did. And then now look at the 5G technology, which is going to be the future here, which is going to be in 2020s. Very like most of the countries, like the pioneers, China, US, even the European countries and India also are well prepared to launch it in this year or maybe next year. So over here the average speed will reach to Gbps now. So we are talking about 1 to 1.4 Gbps as a normal speed. Broadband access would be everywhere available on alternate to home broadband, higher capacity, faster phones, remote control devices like drones, your smart autonomous vehicles, 3D video calls and holograms. All this be made possible under the 5G. Latency would be reduced drastically, like there will be almost like even one less than 1 millisecond. So you can understand the latency is almost gone, and the data transfer rate has been increased into Gbps. It will be even more than 1 Gbps. So this is the speed, like in terms of how we are measuring the vehicles. So from aeroplanes now at time, this is rocket. So this is the speed we are going to get if we move towards the 5G, which is a future which holds for most of the countries going forward. So this This is something again very important from your science and technology perspective, to try to learn what all has happened from first generation to the fifth generation. So I hope you have understood this video. If you have any doubt, feel free to drop a comment. Thank you.